Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? Welcome to another day of Apex Season 4. I'm Achilles. Joining me at the desk today, it's going to be Wolf. And we are ready to dive into the round of 8, getting into the nitty-gritty of this tournament. Now we're going to start eliminating people, not quite tonight, but in the future, in the coming weeks, they will be knocked out of the tournament as we advance towards those playoffs.
That's right. So the loser of tonight will go into the elimination match. So basically everyone in this group stage, it's not a round-robin group like the round of 16. This group stage is a double elimination group, so every team has to win twice to advance, and if you lose twice, you are, of course, knocked out. You will be invited, of course, to next season. You won't.
Yes.
None of these players will have to go through relegation matches for Season 5, but it's very important to win your first match to give you that extra life, so to speak, going into the winner's match.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tough one because our first matchup is going to be Kongdu Panthera, come in obvious favorites, runner-up in the final for Season 3. Dominating performance so far here in Season 4. Going up against CONBOX Spirit, who are kind of gifted a ticket into the round of 8 by LW Blue, dropping out. They finished with a 2-1 record. And chances are LW Blue, if they were still in this tournament, would have taken down CONBOX. So they came in second out of that group behind X6 Gaming, who did advance with a 9-0 record. Could have been changed. Again, LW Blue likely would have been in that top 2 spot. But CONBOX, now it's time to prove themselves because they were feared in Season 3 in the group draw. People thought that they were going to be a bit of a wild card team that was unpredictable and could actually upset. But now it just seems like the fans are upset because CONBOX aren't very good.
It just doesn't feel like this team is going to live up to the hype of getting out of an easy group and then still surprising fans, changing expectations. Remember, too, that this is a team that did struggle in their series against X6. They were destroyed there. And, I think tonight is really going to show us, because tonight is really special for that group because we're not only going to have this matchup between Panthera and CONBOX, we're also going to have the match with X6 later, so we're going to see where these two teams lie outside of that wonky group where 3 wins were given. And CONBOX, based on what we've seen so far, is all they've been able to do was defeat Metabellum, which everyone else also did very handily, so it didn't feel that impressive.
And they also lost the map to Metabellum, which just shows you that they're pretty much in dire straits. But taking a look at the round of 8 here, your Group A going to be Kongdu Panthera, CONBOX on the one side, LW Red versus NC Foxes. That'll be happening later. Winners will face off against each other. The winner of that advances into the playoffs. Losers have to go through the losers matches, and so on and so forth. Then on the other side, Group B is going to be X6 Gaming versus Runaway, which we will be seeing here tonight, and then Lunatic versus GC Busan.
There's a lot of examples of groups like this in Apex history. Everyone will remember NVS's run in Season 3, where everyone said they had the easy group. They hit X6 in the quarterfinals, and everyone was shocked when X6 took the win. And people said, wow, maybe that was really just an easy group for NVS. They ended up changing those expectations of fans, made top 4, and everything was different. But this is one of those checkpoints, you could say, for CONBOX and X6 because their group was so illegitimate in a way that this is going to be their biggest challenge this season. And I think it's going to tell us a lot about where X6 is, especially here up against Runaway, because Runaway had a tough run. That was the group of death. They barely got out, just to the skin of their teeth there. It wasn't even up to them to get out of the group. So close call there for Runaway. And, I feel like this series, if X6 is as good as they showed in their match against CONBOX, perhaps they could take the series, but Runaway do come in as favorites in that second match.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how X6 is going to perform. In the meantime, go ahead and get you guys caught up. We are going to be on one of the newer patches here, so changes coming through for Junkrat Double Charge, 30% increased movement speed on that Riptire Widowmaker as well. Getting a little bit of a, quality of life buffs, not really going to be game-breaking for her, having vision on a target that triggers the Venom Mine, as well as a shorter cooldown on the grapple hook.
Yeah, and of course, the big change here, I think, is for Roadhog. He can move while using Take a Breather, and he'll take 50% reduced damage. I still don't think we'll see Roadhog because there's no changes to his damage output or his hooks currently, but definitely a big one to note because that does change the way he plays. And of course, Orisa gets her 20% projectile speed buff, and her barriers increased size by about 20%. So these are big changes, I think, that might make Orisa more viable. Will the teams have been able to figure out how to use Orisa in comps by today? I don't think so, but we do have to keep that in mind. If we do see an Orisa, it's going to be a lot stronger than it was before.
Yeah, I think it's something that maybe we would see as this round of 8 progresses going into the playoffs, but for now, Orisa, if we do see her, it's probably going to be in similar fashion to what we've already seen, playing the Protect the Torbjorn turret game. on the likes of
Certainly.
Eichenwald, on defense, and sometimes Hollywood, we see that one thrown out there. So not sure if she's going to be having a surge of new picks coming through, but it is certainly something that the teams might be willing to play around
and
with.
we talked about Junkrat's changes, but we didn't really talk about what they mean. I mean, he may dominate the meta as he did dominate the Korean World Cup meta. He was in all of their Phalanx comps, very often used on King's Row. So I do think we will see Junkrat a lot tonight. I do think we will see him a lot on this patch. So look out for that, as that is going to be a big factor. It will change the way Apex has been played historically all seasons. Only team really using the Junkrat was X6. They used it last season against Envious on Dorado. So Waka Waka sign there. Waka Waka, you're the best. I don't know if that looks like him.
Always gotta love the signs coming out. Kongdu Eyes Red. That must be the new team. They're leaking things right here. It's gonna be the new sister team. They're gonna have two of them on top of Panthera for Season 5, perhaps.
Well,
not so sure where that one's going, but
really
either
cool
way.
drawings here. I mean, I have to give mad respect. I don't have that type of talent. That's my favorite emoticon of Kakao Talk right there on the right side of that sign too. I'm glad someone else feels the same way.
the really frumpy looking animal pack that you use on Kakao Talk, and that's coming out of his nose.
Yeah,
that's a lot of snot. It's kind of gross.
It literally says snot on it as well, just in case you were wondering if it was water.
Lovely.
It says snot.
Okay. Keep your fantasies to yourself.
I guess that Lucia made her cry snot 50,000 times of how good it was.
Oh, I'm not going to argue with it. I just don't want to be near them when they start spouting like that.
Yeah, no,
that's.
We're up here in a safe little crow's nest up at the top. No one can.
We're above the flood line, so
right.
Luckily we'll be in a good spot. But the rest of the audience, they might have to have a little bit of concern. Carry around some Kleenexes, perhaps, to just get that taken care of. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. This is pretty much going to be CONBOX trying to upset as much as possible. So let's go ahead and take a look at the teams.
이거 뭔가 보여줘야 됩니다.
뭐 뽑은 이유요? 굳이 얘기 안 해도 다 알 텐데 약하잖아요. 그 조추첨식 갔을 때부터 어느 정도 각을 잡아놨습니다.
저희가 이렇게 약하게 생각되나 자존심이 좀 상하네요. 그래도 센 팀을 먼저 이기고 올라가면은 다음에 쉽게 이길 수 있으니까 긍정적인 마음으로 받아들였어요.
과연 이번 시즌의 콩두 판테라 최종 순위가 어디까지일 것이냐?
거의 뭐 완벽에 가까운 그런 모습 보여주면서 결승까지 바라봐야겠죠.
네.
뭐 소감이랄 게 사실 없는 것 같아요. 8강 뭐 당연히 올라올 거라고 생각했고 저희는 애초에 루나티카이 말고는 뭐 위협적이라고 생각한 팀이 없어가지고 딱히 걱정 안 하고 있습니다.
8강을 진출하면서 기량을 올리다 보면 이거 4강 결승 모르는 거거든요.
보여줘야 됩니다, 오늘 경기를 통해서.
16강에서 많이 보여준 게 좀 적은 것 같아요. 1승을 공짜로 얻어서 올라갔다고 생각하실 수도 있겠지만 운도 실력입니다. 앞으로 이제 8강 가서 많이 보여주려고 생각하고 있어요. 8강은
올라가야 되는 발판? 전 시즌의 결승이었다는 게 부담이면 부담일 수도 있겠지만은 오히려 그게 자신감이라고 해야 될까? 이번 시즌은 무조건 우승으로 생각을 하고 있기 때문에 게임 자체 태도가 달라지지 않았나.
이제 저희 팀이 무슨 색깔인지 보여드리는 게 저희 과제라고 생각해요. 형들이랑 이제 믿고 그래서 한 시즌 해보자라는 마음으로 여기까지 왔어요. 아키텍트 애셔가 이제 캐리하는 게 아니라 전체적인 팀 콤박스로 캐리하는 모습 보여드릴 테니까 잘 지켜봐 주세요. 끝나고 저희가 웃으면서 악수하러 가겠습니다.
별거 없네요. 뭐 도발, 강한 도발 그런 건 약한 팀이 하는 거고 결국 이기는 거는 정해져 있지 않겠습니까? 8강 첫 경기인데 뭐 가볍게 이기고 승자조에서 다른 팀 만나도록 하겠습니다.
Overwatch Apex Season 4, energized by Hot 6, quarterfinal. Today's matchup, Kongdu Panthera, CONBOX.
All right, well, there's a couple gems in that trash talk video right there. Luck is skill. So if you get mad about your solo queue games, saying, oh, the enemy team got lucky. No, they're actually just that much more skilled.
They're just that much more skilled. Well, as we all know, the winning team always wins.
They always win.
So let's head into this series with the understanding, let's say, that CONBOX are definitely the underdogs, and they want to win this match. The rest of the group becomes easy, but I think it might just get harder from here. This is going to be a tough match. It's going to be tough to even take games off of Panthera. Panthera comes in confidence. They've practiced really hard for this series. So CONBOX will have to show their best as we head into this one.
This is the best going to be even good enough to pick up a map win, as you say, or even a round as we start things off on Control. That has been the weaker point for Kongdu Panthera this season, dropping games to Kongdu Uncia as well as Flashlux in their most recent match on Control. So that could be a cause of concern for them. But they're not going to be running Curious here on the DPS line. We will finally get the Birdring and Rascal duo coming back in.
That's right. So Curious is going to sit on the bench at least for the start of our matches. We are going to go ahead and take a look at our first team, guys. So check it out. It's CONBOX, I believe.
Kongdu
wrong one.
Panthera.
확인하고 있어서
자,
보자. 루시우 해보죠.
그래도 이번 차이도 화통이 먼저 루시우 끊어냅니다.
이게 먼저 오히려 판테라가 치고 들어와서
버드링 선수가 축구방을 끊어주면서
체력.
Birdring.
피자가 막타만 잘 때려주면 되는데 오키로스 나이스 좀
그러게요.
Curious.
포지션은 이전격이랑 다를 수 있습니다.
자, 원샷으로 가는 상태. 둘.
피셔 선수가 확실히 원시의 분노를 기가 막히게 잘 써주고 있기 때문에
Fisher.
목표 정확히 포착한 라스칼. 킬러.
포커싱이 제대로 안 됐어요. 마무리가 안 됐습니다.
살아서 라스칼은 킬을 가져갑니다.
Rascal. B. Doshin. Boy. Waka Waka. Kongdu Panthera.
There you have it, CONBOX Spirit. Or rather, what's about to happen to CONBOX Spirit, you would have to expect.
Sure. They panned towards them. I didn't know what to do. I made a call. It was wrong. All right, so
It's all right. It gave me a good laugh.
So we're going to head into this this series with remembering this is some of the best DPS players in the world. A lot of people would say that Birdring is the best tracer in the world right now, and we've seen some great Doomfist out of Rascal, and this is going to be up against a player, Architect, you know, when you see the Doomfist flying, who has less experience in high-stakes matches and has definitely underperformed quite a bit this season, you would say, when you watch the map they dropped to Metaville in their series against X6. Architect got massively outplayed, and I think that when you consider facing off against Rascal, I don't even want to imagine how that will go. It's going to have to be, I think, a lot of variation coming out from CONBOX to be able to defeat these strong DPS players. As you can see, this is our lineup. We'll be Curious on the bench today, with both those DPS guys right there on the right side, Birdring and Rascal in the booth.
We're kicking things off here, which is something that the fans have been wanting to see for a while, have been playing around with the different combinations. We will be having Rascal and Birdring back in on that starting roster. And while they are going up against Asher, who is almost topping the league as far as his KDA is concerned, they still have, you know, the best DPS, and they also have Fisher, who does have the highest KDA out of any role in the league at the moment from the tank line with 121 kills and only 48 deaths. So he has been taking names, put people in the graves. But let's go ahead and see their opponents in CONBOX.
도착! 와! 죽었죠? 그래도 도착! 현지 선수 부조화와 트레이서 같이 때려서 그냥 한 방에
Asher.
붙여야죠. 용서야지.
혼자 다
그렇죠.
야 이거
야, 아키텍트. 하나, 둘,
Architect.
너무 뜨거워요. 고개 됩니다. 네. 400명 죽었네요.
Clover.
결국은 난전이 되다가 앞뒤 라인이 달려있는 거를 잘 파고 들었어요. 오지인 선수가 잘 들어왔습니다.
네. 집중력.
도장 어떻게
밀어내기 그렇죠.
OGE. OVERWATCH. Revenge. Sleepy Bear. CONBOX.
Well, you know, Sleepy Bear is on the starting lineup today for this team. Clover will actually be on the bench. Clover, more famous for Zarya, but Sleepy Bear's name first appeared on the scene because of his Roadhog play more than anything else. His Roadhog hooks were very, very high accuracy. I don't think we'll see him on the Roadhog today, but he is in the booth, and we do have that patch live. Something to consider. But as you guys could see, Asher and Architect of the Stars, this team does well with the dive compositions when they're empowered by sound barriers, when they have Dragon Blades, so farming those is going to be very critical. But it just feels like mechanically and in terms of depth, this team is much lower than Panthera. And it's a shame because CONBOX was the team that was so famous for making new strategies. They were the team that made Sombra viable in the competitive scene. But nowadays it just feels like they're very much one-trick dive, and there's not a whole lot of depth in the roster. It's just, let's hope Architect and Asher cut through the other team like butter, and if that doesn't happen, things fall apart. Yeah,
and they have to be extra concerned going up against Birdring and Rascal to try to keep Revenge and OVERWATCH alive, because that backline is just going to be getting harassed. So in a straight up, 2v2 between these CPS players as who's going to be able to be the most effective, you would have to give it over to the side of Congdu Panthera. So there's got to be a lot of concerns here for CONBOX. They have to have their eyes wide open, trying to be tracking every single member of Congdu Panthera at all times if they want to stay alive. Because you get 1-2 people picked off on your attack, and you just have to, you buy that much time off of your time bank because you have to wait for them to respawn and regroup. But it's time to figure out what the first map is going to be, and it looks like we'll be going to Ilios for control.
This is good for CONBOX because Architect is a very good Pharah player, so they can run Pharmacy on this control map. It's one of the better ones for the Pharmacy comp. So at the very least, they could try to deal with the incredible Doomfist from Panthera from the sky and try to force a switch to Soldier. So at least they can use a style that works for them, they're very strong at. It's not going to be easy, especially when Rascal starts chasing down and we see the switch to the Soldier eventually there. But they don't have Luffy on the roster anymore. He was the guy who would switch to deal with the Pharah oftentimes. So a good starting map for CONBOX for the style they like to play. It's strong for dive, strong for Genji, and also very good for the Pharah.
Yep, just need to be able to utilize that. Go with these picks that they're very good at, that work on Ilios well, and try to just beat out Congdu Panthera by outsmarting them, not necessarily being able to out-mechanic them. So let's see if CONBOX Spirit can, or well, not even Spirit anymore. Let's see if CONBOX, all by themselves, can go ahead and pull off a victory here on Ilios. Let's dive in for our first match of this best of 5.
I get it.
So a decent amount of CONBOX fans here to show their support. Already had them on the camera, showing off some of that artwork.
Yep.
Making their way over to the studio on a nice Friday night.
So already Birdring is at least teasing that Junkrat. Don't know if it'll be the best map for it here, but we're about to find out with the Pharah locked in as well. And we do see Architect on the McCree with Revenge on the Mercy, and even though he does switch to the Pharah here, we have seen him actually run on several maps the boosted McCree there with Revenge. Not going to be the case this time. It will be going to the Pharmacy. It's going to be Pharmacy versus Pharmacy with Junkrat on the side of Panthera, so no Tracer on Panthera's side. It's something the CONBOX people are telling me in the makeup room they think Tracer might go away with this new meta.
Here we go. We'll see if Birdring can find some openings. Of course, that defense matrix from the D.Va is going to be a bit of a pain for him. Trying to get these bombs through. So far just poking out, but hasn't really found any contact with them, so it's slowly building up for the Riptire. Now up on the rooftop here, Architect's firing down. Forces him to retreat back inside. Now just have a bit of a standoff here in the skies between these Pharahs. That one body shot does go through onto Rascal, but he's still going to be fine with Osin hovering nearby to keep him topped up.
Birdring just trying to do damage on the ground here from a protected area where the Pharah can't touch him, so that's the angle he's taking here. We are going to see 2 picks go down, and Birdring's Junkrat pick just hasn't been too successful against the Pharah comp of CONBOX. Even though they have Pharah themselves, they don't have ground dominance because he can't expose himself. So he's struggling here and might even see a swap if this continues, as he's just simply not able to get anything done at the moment.
He's trying to catch somebody coming back on the flank. We did see OVERWATCH go down, but hasn't been rotating around this left-hand side of the map, so will not be finding the Lucio. In the meantime, off-screen, Architect comes up with another kill as Bedosen goes down. So Kongdu Panthera, I think, might just need to abandon the Junkrat.
I think so.
Swap over to something a bit more standard here, like seeing that Tracer come through again. Now, direct rocket there on Rascal. Doesn't have that Mercy nearby. We'll have the respawn now coming through to keep it topped up.
Architect just has better control right now because they got the first flip. This is so good for CONBOX. Every second they stick with the Junkrat, they're just gaining percentage here.
Asher sneaking around the back, finds Waka Waka, starts firing into his side. There's a
Nice
pulse
pulse.
pop, doesn't have the stick, however. It was close, but not close enough. In the meantime, Rascal will go ahead and pick up that kill in onto the enemy Tracer as Birdring continues to fire away. Finds some damage, but still hasn't gotten much, and will not make it away from that self-destruct. He goes down as Sleepy Bear finds the kill.
Well, this just is not working out for CONBOX, and I think they will definitely make a swap coming up here soon. Birdring does finally get the pick here under Revenge. That means no res.
Does get that, but now the barrage ready to go. Rascal's going to throw down, but the defense matrix is there immediately to go ahead and chew up the majority of that damage. Rascal will stay alive. As Birdring falls off screen, they'll get a little boop off there onto OVERWATCH as that first retake seems to be coming through here for Kongdu Panthera, but it's not without over 80% being gained by CONBOX, and even delayed a little bit further there by OG at the end.
Void doing so much damage in that fight, actually mitigating a lot of the damage coming out from Rascal. They didn't have a lot of healing once Revenge did actually go down there. Sorry, removing the damage from Architect. And once Revenge was down, it was not going to be a sustained fight they could win when Diva was being out-healed, so that's why Void was able to get those really cool picks. But even still, it wasn't the Junkrat that made this happen. He will finally get the Riptire here. He just wants to use that to, I suppose, secure another defense here.
I mean, this has to culminate into a massive Riptire here to really justify the investment of time for this. We'll have it available now. Throws up the satchel charge, gets a little bit of damage in.
There we go.
We'll pop the Riptire. Let's see what he can get. Tries to run it up the wall. Struggling a little bit despite the buff. Running it up the top. Trying to get in onto the pharmacy comp, gets up into the air, drops it in, and does get rid of Revenge. So a nice pick off all the same, but would have liked a little bit more there for sure, but that will stave off the assault, so Kongdu Panthera will maintain control. But you can see it was a bit sloppy all the same for Birdring to get that tire up into the air.
Yeah, I mean, we've been watching, a lot of the focus for the Observer here has definitely been on the Junkrat, and so that's why this match looks uninteresting. It just hasn't been able to do much. They still do have control, and now that they have control, it's much easier for Rascal to use the pharmacy to deal with CONBOX's comp, because they also don't have hit scan to knock this out. So there's still possibly a win here for Panthera, but it felt like it could have been a lot easier if Birdring was on the Tracer.
Yeah, for sure. He's that backline disrupt, or maybe even something to just try to take them out of the sky. In the meantime, we will see that Primal Rage pop there by OG. Void throwing down the self-destruct will push CONBOX off of the point for now.
That's one
get ready to tie up.
Use, though. The self-destruct gone now. They need to flip this. This is the last chance.
Let's see, ticking upward here. They're about to surpass him, and Birdring and Waka Waka both go down as OVERWATCH finds the boop off there onto the enemy Lucio. Recap nearly coming through. CONBOX looking to take control as Kongdu Panthera is now above 90%, and they still do have Fitcher alive. He's going to leap in, but not before the point gets flipped over. Now with 4 members dead, Kongdu Panthera, they're going to have some massive time by tactics coming through from Birdring.
They certainly will, and Bedosian does have that res. He wanted to use it in the last fight, but he was picked. Good play there by Asher.
They make their way in. They go ahead. They get the tag for that overtime. Now Waka Waka's going to go through. He manages to get off the sound barrier in time, but will be taken out very swiftly thereafter. They have to get onto the point, starting to tick down. Bedosen still has the res. Might have to just invest it into Waka Waka. Rascal here, still with the Pharah, throws down the barrage. Not going to be finding the kill, but Void is there to help scoop it up onto OG. The res immediately comes through, and Rascal is just way too far away. He'll go down, but not before getting rid of Asher with that concussive blast. But now it's just an all-out war on top of the point.
OGE is about to have that Primal Rage. He got res. It's so important that he actually survives here.
Waka Waka, he came back in, tags it yet again to keep us in contention, but the barrage comes down, gets rid of the enemy Winston, and that is going to be CONBOX picking up the first round.
Don't think the Junkrat was very successful. When that last flip came through, they had to use the sound barrier to get onto the point. That's why you saw Waka Waka fly in like a bat out of hell to get on that point with a sound barrier. It only hit him and Birdring, who had just recently switched back to the Tracer. And then when the longer fight happened, the two tools that CONBOX had were their own sound barrier, which hit all 6 members of the team, and the res that brought OGE back into the fight, which allowed him to build that Primal Rage. They got out sustained in the end. The last fight wasn't lost because of Junkrat. In fact, Junkrat wasn't a factor there, but I feel like they could have had a lot larger of a lead. They could have had a lot larger of a bank, a percentage lead on the control meter had we seen the Tracer play instead.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Junkrat, just way too much time spent on it. Swap it at the end, but even then, it's just not enough. The damage was done. So here we go.
Widows, 4 seconds shorter time before she can use that again. But this is very meta, of course, on Ruins here.
Yeah, definitely not an uncommon pick. So just going to be Birdring versus Asher. Kind of talked about this before when we introduced the teams. Now Asher has been topping the league. OG's going to go low. That shot not quite going to take him down even with the Discord Orb thrown in. Will force the retreat on that Winston. Point going to be unlocked. It seems like Kongdu Panthera will pick that one up.
A lot of pressure
right at the end.
Hack does come through here.
Immediately drops that one in as Revenge just goes ahead, pops that EMP, built it up rather swiftly. And the cap will be staved off here for now. So Kongdu Panthera not going to be getting that first posture forward, and CONBOX might actually be the ones profiting here. Rascal goes back in, tries to get the delay, but that's going to be the cap in the end. Last little second there, will go ahead and take it down. Revenge gets picked off by Birdring, but
I think
yet again, CONBOX start with the cap.
They bought enough time with that EMP for OG to come back. His near death was what cost them the first control of the point, but they won the longer fight because the EMP was so good. And now CONBOX does have an ult lead as well as control of the point, so very good position, very much worth fighting for this first control.
Boyd stuck around for the long haul, managed to get back into the mech.
Birdring gets a snipe on the Architect as well, very impressive.
Yeah, and Overwatch going down off screen to Rascal, so Tracer, and again, working out for Kongdu Panthera. Seems like Tracer's going to be a good pick for them, so might just want to stick through with it if they want to come up with a victory, because that's another one going down as OG falls with the Primal Rage.
Very well played by Panthera here, using opening picks to gain control. And CONBOX still has a slight ultimate lead, but it's not the lead they had before. And Void is going to have self-destruct first. They can use these tools if they stagger them correctly, the self-destruct, the Primal Rage to buy a lot of time. Revenge could shut it all down in one EMP, though. I don't think this is going to be it. Wants to hit the Winston.
He does toss that one in, and Rascal's going to get locked up, and that sound barrier comes through to help keep the Tracer alive, but not before Void will get popped out of the mech. Asher still firing away from this vantage point. Is looking for a shot onto somebody, a Squishy, a support that he could take out, but just hasn't been granted those sight lines by Kongdu Panthera. They've been playing around this enemy Widow pick quite well.
Fisher does survive. He still has that Primal Rage. He's going to use it. That's so important. That was the whole point of this defense. That's why they kept hacking him, but he finally got it off.
Chases him down. It's got a couple more seconds. We'll be dropping in on top of Asher, but once they get out of there.
That was really well done, staying alive there while hacked after being EMP'd, but still being able to get that Primal Rage. Even with the headshots coming in, he survived. And it has been kind of the tactic of CONBOX, looks like, to focus Void down first, taking a page out of Lutic Kai's playbook from the Grand Finals, just eliminate him using good focus fire after the EMPs come through, or sorry, after the hacks come through. Another good pick here for Birdring on a mobile target. Very successful on this Widow.
Yeah, I mean, the pickoffs coming through onto the Sombra are so crucial because you just delay those EMPs coming through that much more. And we haven't seen a lot of Sombra play as of late, during this season. So, to try to keep this as oppressed as possible is going to be a good strat for Kongdu Panthera, who now are approaching 100%. CONBOX will go for it, try to get the contest. Sound barrier comes in just at the last second to keep OGE alive as Birdring just desperately tries to get that shot in onto Asher. Has been able to find it in the meantime, but Osen does go down to the pulse bomb from Architect, and now CONBOX might actually have the retake on the point. Seems like Kongdu Panthera will just be peeling back.
They didn't have any tools to contest this time, no self-destruct, no Primal Rage, so when you don't have those tools, you just have to let it go like this when you already have the 99. And it's okay because they're just going to go ahead and do some eco-poking, trying to look for opening picks with Birdring to then flip the point if they can get those opening picks. If they can't, they'll of course use those ultimates when it becomes necessary, but they don't have them yet. The other pick here onto Revenge, but the EMP is going to grant them two.
It's going to be a bit back and forth there. Seems like CONBOX going to be the ones coming out on top as they do maintain control. Kongdu Panthera just going to have to regroup because Birdring and Rascal so dangerously low.
And this is okay because they got an EMP out of it, and they do, build closer to those ultimates. Void, unfortunately, a long way away, but Fisher is getting closer. They're going to have the support ultimate soon. Definitely be big tools to get a flip here. Revenge is going to have one more EMP. If they can bait that one out right before their ultimates come in, that is exactly what they want.
Tech takes that body shot, goes low, and just to stay alive here. Just going to be some poking forward here on top of the point as Asher, again, looking for a shot, gets a nice headshot in onto Fisher. It's not going to be enough to finish off that Winston. Will have the Primal Rage available shortly. Yet again, Widow battles coming through. But he's being poked from the sidelines as well by Rascal, so he's got to be so careful. But that's going to be the EMP coming down from Revenge. And Badosin doesn't manage to get that Transcendence off in time. He will go down.
Accidentally Transcendence off the side. This is terrible for
he
CONBOX.
just translocates right out of there. Now the sound barrier going to come through from Kongju Panthera as they try to get this retake. It's going to be double overtime on both sides, 99%. Flip nearly comes down. Architect goes for it, throws down the pulse bomb, will not be finding the pick, and that's going to be the cap. Coming through from Kongju Panthera, but can they finish this one off?
He just needs to buy time here.
He's waiting in the wings.
I
Doesn't want to delay until the last second. He just wants to buy as much possible time here for the rest of his team, but he gets picked off. Revenge has also gone down. Now it's going to be a last-ditch effort from OGE to drop in, but he gets picked off immediately, so that will be Kongju Panthera picking up a win on the Ruins.
I think that the thing to be said about this Ruins round was the Widowmaker play was definitely more successful from Birdring. He was able to pick off Revenge so many times. They didn't have as many EMPs as he would have liked to. The obvious target is the Winston, right? If you kill the Winston, your dive becomes more successful, your Tracer becomes easier to use, and then your Diva bursts down the other Diva, and it's a pretty obvious story, right, that we see time and time again. But if you can get those picks onto a Tracer, which we saw a few times, but more often onto the Sombra, it means she's not building that EMP charge as quickly. She's not there to hack the Winston, because that was their way to try to deal with the Winston, was to keep him hacked so he couldn't Primal Rage. And it was a lot more difficult when they were trying to do it and he was getting picked off. So not to oversimplify that round, but I think that Birdring definitely was the better Widowmaker. As now we head into, well, this is going to be the Farah versus Farah, but a big switch, a big departure here for Birdring onto the Tracer.
Oh, Waka Waka, he gets picked off right off the bat, so it's going to be a good opening here for CONBOX as they try to get a victory. Oh, Badosin almost gets clipped by that second missile. Doesn't quite connect, though. So he will be staying alive in the meantime, but Architect is yet again just showing off his accuracy with this Farah pick. You were talking about how this is such a huge one for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a great Farah player. Not to say anything bad about Rascal, he's also a great Farah, but it's one of Architect's greatest tools, I feel like, in this series that he can use.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at just comparing the ultimate charge right now. He's 20% up over Rascal, who just doesn't have the accuracy nearly as much as Architect does here with this pick. In the meantime, though, it's going to have a bit of a brawl in on top of the point as it has unlocked. Revenge and Waka Waka both going to go down, so an exchange onto the supports. Asher will be getting zapped to death. Fires into the backside there of Fisher, takes him low. Winston will stay alive at the moment, but it seems like yet again CONBOX might be coming up with this first cap. Yeah,
and I wonder now if Panthera should consider a switch of composition. They certainly were not willing to do it when we started things off on Lighthouse, but they're just not able to win the Farah battle. And Asher, while the Farah battle is being won by CONBOX, is looking for picks. Everyone has to hide, which gives him good targets, gives him better awareness of where everybody is, because Rascal is just not able to really do the damage he's looking for. That might be a pick. Yep.
Oh, no, gets the wall ride right at the last second. Obrochi will be staying alive. It has the sound barrier to offer up. Waka Waka considerably further behind, so this could be good for CONBOX to go ahead and maintain control. As OG also nearly has that primal range. He gets picked off in the meantime. It seems like CONBOX, if they want to invest their tools to hold on to this, they very much can. They can hold this for a while. Barrage used by Architect, not going to be finding anything. Defense Matrix from Void was there to chew up the damage. Now the Pharmacy Comp has been dismantled.
They have reses. They've used the Primal Rage. They might commit to the res.
Kongju Panthera, it seems like they will just be gaining control here as it's 42%. You're getting rid of that Mercy right off the bat. Just pretty much ensured this one so far. They will invest this Primal Rage all the same. OGE just going to be jumping around, will die in the end, and that's going to be the flip. So he delays to 50%, but without the rest of his team, I feel like the Primal Rage kind of misused there from the side of OGE.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't use the res early enough, I think, or they didn't use it at all, obviously, now, but after they didn't use the res to gain value there, I don't think the Primal Rage was necessarily should be committed. So Primal Rage for a Primal Rage was a big win for Panthera because they got the flip.
Oh, the bubble buys him a little bit extra time there. Now the Mercy coming through does keep OGE alive. It was nearly a perfect pick off there from the side of Birdring.
All right, this is going to be a really critical moment for CONBOX, I think, to try to get this flip. They're going to look for a back line pick. They failed to get that. They got Rascal with the self-destruct, though, so this could be their moment to get that flip.
That's going to be the solo res coming through from Badosin. Just wants to bring him back into the fight, but now it's going to be the sound barriers out from both sides. The barrage comes down from Rascal and finds OGE. Asher operating on the low ground here is just dashing around, trying to find a target. Gets a little bit of an opening in onto Badosin, but cannot finish him off. There's too much pressure down on top of this Tracer. Forces out on the recall. He's in onto the point. Sort of getting a back cap, but almost certainly will not be happening yet. He gets left on as Fisher rejoins the fight. And that's going to be the hold coming through from Kongju Panthera. Now pushing past CONBOX at 56%.
Okay,
And yet again.
Taken out there, so Rascal is starting to finally get the lead on this Farah battle. Struggled at the beginning part, but is certainly winning it now. And will build up to 40% already of the next rocket barrage. And they did this without switching to Soldier. They're sticking to their guns here, so we had mirror comps the entire time. Just feels like Panthera has been more correct with their grouping, positioning, and ult usage. Fisher's Primal Rage way more effective than OGE's. He hasn't even built his second one yet. Fisher's about to be there.
Asher going through, throws on the pulse bomb. Will get the pop out onto Void, knocking him out of the map. Firing away, but has to dash back as Fisher just offers up too much pressure in the meantime. Birdring has traded back with the pulse bomb of his own, getting rid of OGE, and now Rascal comes in from behind.
Revenge is
and just snipes Architect at the back of the head with that rockets during his barrage, and also gets rid of Revenge for the third time in a row, gets rid of that pharmacy cop almost single-handedly. And Kongju Panthera will be maintaining control. They will be pushing this to 99%, now looking for the victory. OGE have to get back in on top of the point where Sleepy Bear right now is the only tank available, and he's going to get popped out of the back.
They're trying to build for that res. They want that res so badly, but because Revenge died so early, he's only at 90%. They might get it here, but he dies. That's going to be the end of it.
Yeah, that's just going to be it here. Architect has to go in onto the point to try to delay this, but he's just going to get booped out of the sky by Void. And that will be Kongju Panthera walking away with a victory on Ilios, albeit a bit of a delayed one, because CONBOX is putting up a bit of a fight.
Yeah, and that was a really fun war to watch there, basically watching the Farah battle. Is, you know, Rascal, the first time we commentated with Rascal was actually in the promotions tournament on this map, and he showed his Farah. He was basically outplaying every soldier he played against and was always able to get those kills, target the soldier down, then had free reign of the skies. In this case, maybe a bit of a slow starter on well here, but ended up getting the better picks, and they always outpositioned. Their ult usage was always better. So could be indicative of things to come as we get into more complex maps. Control is always the craziest one, the weirdest one, where we see the biggest upsets. But moving into hybrid now, I think if I'm CONBOX right now, after what we saw with the Junkrat proclivity to use it already on Lighthouse, probably want to stay away from King's Row, where he's shown the most success in Korean Overwatch history. Probably want to stick away from that one unless they're confident they can outplay the Junkrat. Because I think that is going to be the map where Junkrat gets the most usage. That's just historically where we've seen it the most in Korean Overwatch.
I mean, I would have some decent confidence in outplaying the Junkrat, honestly, given the showing there on Lighthouse to start things off. But we'll see what they select for our second map of the series. You say King's Row should be avoided, and that's going to happen as they will be picking up onto Numbani.
One of their more pip maps as well, so a solid choice here. They can run the Doomfist on the attack and try to essentially grab that point early. We've also seen a lot of good Genji out of Architect on this map, so they're just going to run their standard dive here, not put themselves into the arena of Panthera. And yes, as you said, Birdring had a bad Junkrat game, but I think it was a bad comp to run it in. But when you put him on his place where he's clearly even willing to run it on Lighthouse, and he's definitely going to run it on King's Row. Yeah. Avoid that, play to your strengths, play to the Genji comp, the Doomfist comp you found success with against Metabellum on Numbani, and just kind of repeat that performance. I think is the idea here.
I'm poking fun for the most part, but it's quite possible that we can see the Junkrat come out throughout the rest of this series. We've seen it on Dorado in the past, so maybe if we go to that map 4, we can see it come out. But for now, it's map 2, Numbani coming up. Alrighty, here we go. Kongju Panthera maybe getting ready to move to match point already. Kick things off in the round of 8.
So
CONBOX can't fire back.
This is a good map to run Soldier on defense, obviously, because you have the high ground advantage. But I think it's also a good map for Junkrat on defense, because if you approach that left side staircase on attack, your life is going to be hell trying to get through there with Junkrat projectiles flying through, and you're going to deal with the concussive mines tossed in there. I mean, that is one of the most difficult places to approach a Junkrat defensive comp, is up on that left side. You have Rascal on the Soldier, he can protect the flanks and a potential dive from coming through, and if they try to hard push through the stairwell, this is when Birdring is going to shine. So that's what he's going to set up for here already. As we are going to see CONBOX look to potentially run a really unusual comp here with a triple tank. I don't know if this is real, but
I think they're messing with us. They're playing with our hearts.
Okay.
Yeah, not going to be seeing that. Roadhog coming through.
so it is going to be the Doomfist dive we expected. This is why they picked this map.
Yet again, Junkrat coming through here to the side of Kongdu Panthera. As mentioned, Birdring going to be having a bit more of a standard time with this on defense, but the trap is not going to be fooling Asher. We'll go ahead and get rid of that right off the bat.
Yep, just already predicted that one's location. Is going to try to swing around the backside to see where Junkrat's positioned right now.
Caps coming through. Nobody from Kongdu Panthera playing forward onto the point.
Yeah, they don't
Have
have
to
much.
walk forward. The punch comes down in on top of the Winston. But Architect still going low, has that heal deny. Will have to peel back, and now Birdring starts showing up as that satchel charge to go ahead and get rid of the enemy Tracer. And that will be the hold here on that first push coming through.
All right, Birdring's showing off a little bit here already. So obviously the comp that they have is it's ranged. It's very much a comp that requires long range damage. So when CONBOX got on the point, it took them a while to eventually burn them down, but they did. And the Soldier, of course, makes it so much easier. They have the Ana for extra long range damage and heals. So very much a comp that's trying to counter what CONBOX is doing at range. And so far it's been working really well.
Architect looking for a target with that rocket punch. Not going to be finding anything, and actually just gets dropped down to 75 HP, so has to peel back to pick up that health pack. Trying to rejoin the fight now. It's just going to be a bit of a brawl up top here on the high ground that Kongdu Panthera is winning. But yet again, dropped in onto the point is CONBOX. They get the first tick coming through at 45% at the moment. Cleanup is starting to come down for Kongdu Panthera as they get Sleepy Bear out of the mech. They get rid of OGE, so no tank line there available for CONBOX on this assault. Meteor Strike comes through. The punch not going to get the connection in onto Bedosin, which certainly would have finished him off. He gets taken down by Rascal, who had that tac visor and gets that last little bullet fired into Asher to finish him off.
That was beautiful, what we just saw there, his following with his reticle of the target. And essentially, this comp for CONBOX has to kill Rascal, and we're going to see Architect switch to the Genji for more mobility. They have to kill Rascal, and it's so chaotic with all the Junkrat projectiles going on. Diving has been so difficult, but if they can kill Rascal, they can win the longer fight. But he's just been so good at dealing with the Doomfist. That's why I like the Genji swap. We'll see if they can get the pick this time, though, as they do dive in.
Once yet again up onto the high ground there from OGE, but goes down to about half HP, so we'll be peeling back. Architect, late swap over onto the Genji, going to be trying to build up as quickly as possible towards that Dragon Blade, but has to peel back already because the self-destruct is thrown in by
Birdring's
Void.
down.
Takes it back into the back, and as you say, Birdring gets picked off right before that sound barrier comes through from Waka Waka. So not going to be in the fight, has the Riptire available as well, would like to have this for the defense. Now CONBOX is going to fire back as Oporochi throws down the sound barrier for his team. Birdring getting ready to come back in, closes a lot of distance with the satchel charges, and we'll just go ahead and pull out the tire. He's going to go straight up the front, dropping in from above, and just finds Oporochi, so yet again gets a single support, but this time might actually really make the difference for Kongdu Panthera to have success on this defense. Fisher gets boosted, jumps in, goes down, and that's actually going to be the cap for CONBOX. So despite that pickoff, there's just not enough follow-up there from Kongdu Panthera, and they will lose out on point A.
I think Fisher was basically blown up there by the self-destruct. Sure, that's not what showed in the kill feed, but like the majority of his health went down from that, and he died. The self-destruct was really well placed for Sleepy Bear, and they're going to get a double from it and end up winning this point. They didn't get the best time ever, but clearly the Genji switch was what they needed to get the pickoffs in the backline that allowed Asher to get that first pick onto Birdring. So now it's going to be a little bit smoother sailing, as this comp is a little bit weaker without the choke points that Birdring was relying on to get those kills. So in the street space here, sure, Junkrat Sickle can be strong, but will not be as strong as he was there on point A.
Yet again, Birdring is going to go down, followed up by Bedosin and Waka Waka. No supports available, and this might just be a straight cruise through to point B for CONBOX Spirit, who are just not being hindered at all on this push.
Birdring's going to make the swap. I like this. I feel like he's taken this idea of it's worked so well in scrims no matter what part of the map we're on, but CONBOX really has our number on this. Let's just switch off of it. Let's play the Tracer. Let's play more mobile comps, because CONBOX is running a hyper mobile comp, so when you see the Junkrat, you just avoid his projectiles when you have open space to work with, and then end up getting the picks as we saw.
Tech going low, still has that Dragon Blade available to try to open up this point C. Goes through, almost gets Bedosin, but the sound barrier will come down to answer. Kongdu Panthera, can they push forward with this shield? It's going to go ahead and expire, so don't gain too much. Bedosin wasn't going to go down, the recall was forced out. So, going to be a good one there for CONBOX, just pushing forward with the Tracer, and they get that sound barrier.
They baited the sound barrier. Now they have the Dragon Blade and nearly 2 support ults. They almost have the big 6 for their next push. So they're in fantastic position now to dive and make this happen with the Dragon Blade that Architect is so famous for. And as they do approach, they need to find a better angle, because look at the positioning of Panthera. They're all in that choke point. It's very difficult to drive in there and get value. Forcing them out now, though, would be the way to get that Dragon Blade in. So you can see everyone's kind of moved back, so it's a better, more open space for the Dragon Blade now to find damage.
Big leap in coming through from Fisher, who's just going to go ahead and invest that Primal Rage. Once they get rid of Revenge, will take him down. He's not going to be forcing out that Transcendence. Revenge knows that this push is over without their frontline tanks, so we'll just go ahead and fall down. A little bit of time bought here for Kong Du Panthera, but they still have 2 minutes 35 that they have to delay.
And another ultimate used. Sure, it was only one, so Panthera can feel pretty happy with this. They're halfway back to that sound barrier they used earlier. But it looks like CONBOX's goal is not to have the fastest record time, it's just completion in general with a follow-up push. They want the best fight possible. They're not willing to use resources until they feel like they have that perfect fight. They're looking for completion, not a world record time here. And so let's see if they can force a positional mistake out of Panthera. We are going to see OGE is going to lead with the Primal Rage here. No Dragon Blade just yet.
Yeah, Transcendence was also invested, but now that's going to be the self-destruct being thrown in by Void. Gets the pick off here onto Revenge. CONBOX, how long do they want to stick around? Seems like it's not very long at all. They will just peel back as a team. OVERWATCH has the sound barrier available, but they'd rather, as you say, not try to go for the largest time bank possible. They just want to be operating as a team, using their ultimates together, so they can just go ahead and back off.
This is worst case scenario for them, though, because they used two of their most important ultimates required for completion, the Transcendence and the Primal Rage. They were trying to use that to get the lead in for the Dragon Blade to be used. And sure, they still have that tool, and they have an ult lead, but it's not what they want. It's not the perfect push. And there might not be enough time for us to see another Transcendence with only 90 seconds left here. Very unlikely, so Panthera is going to sigh a breath of relief here after that defense and the tools that were used in the attack. Good trade for them.
Architect's been holding on to this Dragon Blade for so very long at this point. Hasn't found the chance to go ahead and throw that one down. Will invest it now. The Transcendence immediately comes out from Badosin to dissuade that, so he's just going to go ahead and have them peel back. And just like that, Waka Waka also has his ultimate available and ready to go.
Angle, not really going to get picks, but didn't force positioning mistakes. It would have been perfect if that was there for the Dragon Blade.
Pulse Bomb thrown down, looking for a stick on the Waka Waka. Does not have it, but now he's got to push forward to try to get this delay on the payload that is inching forward. Now just a few meters away from completion. CONBOX, of course, having the longer run back, so any pickoff from their side is going to be absolutely devastating for them, but they're going to be the ones that actually start things off with getting rid of Fisher. Pulse Bomb thrown in, but the defense matrix is there to eat it, so Birdwing's not going to be getting any profit whatsoever. As Architect does go down to Badosin, but CONBOX now going to be an all-out war of attrition here on top of the payload. Just have to get this pushed in. 1.89 meters left to go, and they are still getting the kills in their favor. Badosin and Waka Waka both go down. Fisher will be picked off, and now it's just Birdwing trying to dash his way out, but he's not going to be there in time. And with 10 seconds left on the clock, point C will be achieved by CONBOX.
And very important, they do it without overtime. So that was what Panthera was trying to achieve there, was forced into the overtime. The most brilliant moment of all, I feel, for that capture was Fisher came in for the delay and he used Primal Rage. They immediately Discord orbed him, and he died before you could even hear the end of the sound of the growl from the Primal Rage. Died so quickly there, and then that was their best tool to buy time to try to delay to force that overtime or prevent the completion. But it was really well done how quickly CONBOX turned on him and focused him. They knew that was going to be their opening, is to get that pick onto the Winston. They did so well. And then from there on, Panthera was just trying anything they could to delay him, and there was not much they could do after those picks came in through so early. So now I want to see, do we see attack Junkrat? I hope not. I don't think that it will be very successful if Birdwing wants to run that. And you can see the stress there on Asher. It's been a very tough first two maps for them.
Yeah, I think you just abandoned the Junkrat at the moment here for the set of Kong Du Panthera.
It looks like that is what they are planning to do, with almost an identical attack comp here for CONBOX, or the identical comp to their attack composition with Architect on the Genji. They did put Revenge on Ana. She's one of her stronger map series, defending on hybrid point A's. So it is just going to be standard dive from Panthera, no Junkrat shenanigans, no Torbjorn shenanigans. It's just going to be dive here. The difference being for the defense here, CONBOX is trying to defend with dive. They will not have a soldier, so it's less clear what Panthera will be trying to pick in the fight. It will very likely be OGE. If they can kill him, then they win the dive fight. But Still, going to be a little bit more difficult without the soldier, you would say, but Architect just feels more comfortable fighting dive with dive. So that's what they're going to do.
All right, well, let's see which Genji's going to come out on top here. Rascal over to that one. Spurtering will start things off just wrapping around over onto the left high ground. Trying to get some spots out, so the rest of the team just starts pushing up the center.
Very defensive setup here for Panthera. They just want to wait for the dive to come in. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, massive poop back there, just knocking everybody away. Fisher will get the heal deny coming through, and Bedosen's actually going to be the first one that falls, but very swiftly, Rascal and Waka Waka are able to pick up the kills onto the enemy supports, and that might just be able to be transitioned into a very swift cap here on the point A.
Rascal
Everybody has been
alive.
pushed forward, so no one is getting the cap at the moment. Now starting to try. Actually, CONBOX might be able to rejoin this fight before even a tick comes through.
It's actually kind of crazy how this all worked out. We had a fight in the street, but we're on the point A defense here. Void is trying to survive through this, but I think he will get DMX shortly. Does heal up. Actually, really good defense matrix uses there, avoiding all that damage.
He's got Bedosen topping him off. Bedosen actually goes low, but manages to get out alive. Self-destruct and invested, finds a double kill. Void, yet again, just another one for the highlight reel. Gets rid of Architect and Revenge. And that will just help take down Sleepy Bear, knock him out of that mech, finish off the Baby Diva, and get this cap rolling through. Might just be it here for Kongju Panthera. Yeah, everybody going to be grouped up, and that should just be point A going over to them.
Oh, it absolutely will be. I mean, Void, so many of the games we've seen from Void where things look dire and you see a cap come through. Obviously, I study a lot of these VODs, and I can look at, on Winston's Labs, you can see how team fights go and things like that. Oftentimes, right before a cap, you just see the Diva icon and a bunch of dead enemy players, and you know what happens. The ult usage is always so good for this player.
Secret Agent Asher.
Yeah, this is some MacGyver play coming on over here looking for this. Transcends is forced.
Yeah, they go ahead. They force that one out yet again. This was the second time that his pressure was enough to go ahead and force that Transcendence out from the enemy Zenyatta. Now Dragonblade out from Architect, comes up with 2 kills in the end, but Rascal fires back with some of his own, getting rid of Architect and Sleepy Bear. As they will go ahead and continue this push with the payload. Asher has to go ahead and peel back. OGE gonna get picked off right at the last second as Fisher dives through to finish him off.
Primal Rage as well, and that's good coordination from a team that when the Transcendence is baited, they turn it into a win because they pair the Dragon Blade with it. So they're like, all right, well, this is risky to use the Dragon Blade here, but I think that we'll at least get something out of the Transcendence if we do. It's really well played. That's why Architect's Dragon Blade didn't do as well, because it didn't have support ultimates really pairing to heal him up there. So very well played, very much on the fly for Panthera.
We're going to have a high ground fight coming through. It'll be a bit of a rare occurrence as the sound barriers invested from both sides. Bedosen picked off first and foremost. Good opening, but Revenge is answered for by Rascal very swiftly afterward. Fisher stopping Architect before he can get over to that Mega Pack. Be able to get rid of that enemy Genji, delaying that Dragon Blade even further here. And as I say that, Rascal will suffering the same fate as OGE takes him out. Payload getting closer and closer here for Kongju Panthera on point B. Able to get that completion so they can start moving forward and try to best the time of CONBOX at the finish.
It's a really risky position for CONBOX to be this far forward. Birdring has lived so long, it's got so many picks in this fight.
Gets that hit in right at the last second, has the recall, get his HP back, and that is enough time for the payload to be pushed into point B. So now 4.5 minutes on the clock.
This will give them some free push too, because they committed to a reset, or they committed to a stall where they didn't have any ultimates to stall with. So that's why I was saying their positioning was a bit aggressive there, because Birdwing was just doing free damage the entire time. Look, his accuracy is incredible, and we have to give him credit for that, certainly. Possibly the best tracer in the world, but he was able to do that because CONBOX played so aggressively, because they overextended. He was just simply able to mop up the kills.
Yet again, another very aggressive dive coming through from OGE. Goes low, has to be careful and cautious about those Discord orbs that will get taken down yet again. And now Sleepy Bear knocked out of the mech, so no front line available for CONBOX. As this push rounds the final corner, getting ready to go ahead and dock in at point C. Massive leap in coming through from Fisher as they try to get onto the supports, and Oporochi will be hounded down by Rascal in the finish. They kill both of them. And now this could just be it.
They're not going to have any support ultimates to use with the Dragon Blade.
Transcendence is popped. Dragon Blade coming through from Rascal, as you say, slicing away, looking for a target. Some Primal Rage to Winston up in his face.
Does a lot of damage, though, regardless, with the Transcendence paired with it. That's something Architect is not going to have, because Revenge is picked again, and he just might even just have to use the Dragon Blade vanilla here.
Self-destruct comes through from Void yet again, looking for a pick.
Here it is.
Zones them back. Architect goes for it, but the sound barrier comes out immediately, and everybody is targeting the Genji. He gets jumped on. He goes down. That's 4 minutes and 5 on the finish here for point C for Kongju Panthera.
Both times at the end there for Architect, both on the attack and defense, it was all down to the Dragon Blade. And the first time the coordinated attack they wanted to attempt to get completion really failed there. They wasted ultimates. They didn't get the time they were looking for. And then on the defense, the picks were so consistent against the supports that Birdring was just having a field day, killing over and over and over again the Zenyatta that never got the Transcendence, the Lucio that never got the Sound Bearers. Architect's like, keeps asking, you know, where's my support ultimates? And they keep pressing the Z key, saying 80%, 85%, but it never got to 100. And I mean, the Dragon Blade we saw from Rascal was incredible because he had the Transcendence there, and CONBOX didn't have support ultimates to counter it either. Just a big mess in terms of ult management. Panthera has definitely been playing the much better game.
Yeah. And it's just a repeat mistake coming through from the side of CONBOX. I mean, OGE consistently diving forward, not respecting the Discord orb and the focus that Gwangju Panthera have. Because, you know, when we saw Curious thrown into the roster, it seemed like there was a disconnect. They didn't have their in-game leader there to try to keep everybody cohesive. But now that they're running with Rascal and Birdring back in, he calls out, go for the Winston. Everybody turns and they immediately just annihilate OGE. And he is not playing around that at all. He's not playing respectfully to that. It's almost like he's playing a trial to get onto Gwangju Panthera. He's like, look, I can make you guys win. Can I join the team now?
He's definitely been struggling. Certainly the focus has been good for Panthera, especially when they have Bedosian on that Zenyatta. He's always able to call out the Winston, drop those discords. And we've seen him actually get several headshots with the left click on the Zenyatta as well against OG here. So CONBOX is going to change this one up a little bit. They're going to go Tracerless and try to break this with the McCree. Interesting choice, given that Panthera last time used the Junkrat. I would think this would be weak against that, but it isn't going to be the Junkrat this time, rather the Soldier.
Yet again, yep, poking forward, looking around that corner onto the high ground. Architect finds a big angry scientist. Has to go ahead and peel back, but so far, pop out onto the Mecha. Sleepy Bear is going to be halting things here for CONBOX, who try to get in onto the point. Asher goes down as Fisher leaps in. And this might just be it here, as it's just 5 seconds remaining on the clock. Revenge has fallen. Oporochi trying to lay onto the point will be targeted out by literally everybody. He goes down, and that is just going to be it. So 33%, all we're going to be looking for from Gwangju Panthera to go ahead and close out Nambani and move to match point.
Yeah, really well played on the defense, running the Tracer instead of the Junkrat there, so a lot more safe damage, I guess you could say. A little bit less all in on the defense because they wanted to get the full hold so that they could therefore, as you say, just get an early tick to win the map and take match point in this series. And there wasn't a whole lot of time. Like, again, Architect is a great Genji player, and he has some of the best Dragon Blades we've seen in Korea, right? He's had a few highlight reels, to say the least, but when you have very little time to build the support ultimates that make those Dragon Blades good, that's when you can't build those support ultimates, the Dragon Blades just don't happen. You have a lot of time to work with, and as you say, no more Genji here. It's going to be the Junkrat with Tracer.
Not like this.
My problem with this is this is a soldierless comp, and it will struggle against dive really hard. So I don't know about this one. Sure, like, we can't deny Junkrat is very powerful now with the buffs, but I mean, a soldierless comp here against Rascal's Genji, even potentially his Doomfist, they don't know either way, is going to be very difficult to pull off.
I mean, this is just one of those moments where Architect has to pop off. He has to look like a god, or else he's just going to look like a fool.
That's right.
4 minutes, 5 seconds for this defense. He needs to be so accurate.
One tick
with these
as well.
bombs.
One tick is all they need. Very likely will not even get to have, if they get the early cap, I mean, you might even see a Riptire if this goes the way Gwangju Panthera wants.
Yep. Well, already Panthera up onto the high ground. Birdring will go back with a recall. Himself alive.
All right, it's ticking up already.
Well,
Let's get those
there you
picks.
go. That's going to be some intro picks coming through from Architect. Gets rid of Birdring and Bedosian. Let's get hounded down by Void. So despite finding the two, might still not be enough to delay this to stop Gwangju Panthera from getting the cap. But with Void getting popped out of the mech, it seems like it might actually hold them off for the moment. 40% already accrued for that Riptire.
The cool thing about using the Junkrat for this is because they only have one tick, well...
I want to be a believer. I want it to happen, but yeah, we're just going to see the swaps coming through both sides.
One cool thing is that I suppose, you know, you're fighting such an enclosed area because you have to be on the point that it gives you one edge there, but either way, Rascal just wants to outrange this. He doesn't know it's a Genji switch. He does now.
We'll see that one come through. He gets dashed through there, and there's no
Oh man, that's a
There's
problem.
no way that Ash is going to get away. He just gets taken down. Architect has fallen, so no DPS available for CONBOX, and that's that pulse bomb gone as well. They will answer one onto Bedossin to at least get rid of a support member from the side of Kongju Panthera, but they need so much more than that. OGE has the primal range, has them contained into a corner. Yet again, has to go ahead and exit. Will get taken down in the air, and that's going to be the 33% coming through in the end.
It's the surprise Pharah. We don't talk about this too often, but sometimes when you have a massive time bank like this and you only need one tiny tick, you can do a unusual Pharah swap, and if they don't have hit scan to deal with you, and if they fail in those first fights, you just lose the point straight up, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And there's no time to even discuss or talk about, oh, can you guys delay? I'm going to switch to the soldier, or we're going to have a better answer for this. They didn't have an answer, and when the Tracer was killed by the Pharah, I mean, it was definitely going to be pretty much the end of that story. So now a 2-0 lead here for Panthera. Need to take this series, perhaps even with a 3-0. They were the big favorites coming into this, and I feel like Architect has had his moments, but it's certainly been just better coordination in longer team fights, better ult economy, better ult efficiency for Panthera, and CONBOX is just getting beaten down time and time again as a result.
Well, rough stuff for these guys. Now need to pull off the reverse sweep if they want to be advancing into that winner's match. Otherwise, going to be squaring off in the losers match, facing potential elimination. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have map 3 and see if Kongju Panthera can close this out with a 3-0 of CONBOX will be able to fire back. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
에너지가 필요한 순간 핫식스와 함께 핫하게 즐겨라. 올여름 가장 핫한 리그 오버워치 핫식스 에이펙스.
Game, record, and stream without compromise.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at match point for Kongdu Panthera. Currently up 2-0. It's been a bumpier ride than you might have anticipated, but CONBOX, outside of that round win on Ilios, have yet to pick up a victory. But now this is where it all begins. This is the staging grounds for that reverse sweep.
Certainly could happen. This is one of the best map types for CONBOX, 5-3. Those sound like the most incredible scoreline, but one of their only positive win rates.
Gotta take what you can get.
Take what you can get. That and Control, there are only two there. Positive on currently in recent Apex matches. So for the last few seasons, this has been where they've made many of those stands you described to head into potential reverse sweeps. They were talking a lot in the break about potentially swapping Clover in later parts of this, but seem to decide better of it. And let's see what they want to run us to. We've seen a lot of Hanamura picks from this team, and they've done really well historically on Hanamura for the early pushes for Point A with Doomfist, but have really struggled against Soldier. Godspeed Soldier, for example, on Hanamura gave them a lot of grief when they faced off in round of 16. So they want to take us to Volskaya Industries instead.
Okay. Been seeing this one pop up a couple times here and there, so it's gonna be another visit to Volskaya.
Been a little while for me see this map, so I'm hyped about it. And mostly the Hanamuras and the Anubises on my casting days here, so always good to see some Volskaya. And let's see what Birdring wants to do here. I would love to see
Junkrat,
because Junkrat is very good on 2CP because of the area that you're contesting, right? His Riptires are fantastic on any assault map, of course, but I think that we'll see it potentially for that on Point B a lot because you can build it so quickly when you're fighting those longer brawls, and then you Riptire and blow everybody up. I think that is going to be perhaps the play here.
Well, so far we haven't seen any multi-man Riptires coming through. It's just been a single pickoff. So let's see if that can change. Let's see if we get that Junkrat yet again. Let's see if Kongdu Panthera is going to complete his 3-0 as we move on to map 3. It's Volskaya Industries. CONBOX fans hanging in there as best as possible.
Certainly dire straits now. And gotta root for your team when they need it most. CONBOX will start on attack. Panthera will take the defensive setup first. And it looks like they want to run very similarly to how they ran on Numbani without the Junkrat, the Rascal on the Soldier, Birdwing on Tracer. Shut down that very small time bank of CONBOX and tiebreaker rounds. I don't think CONBOX will run this comp. Probably see them switch. Like the last time we saw a comp like this was when Flower, then known as Nanohana, was playing in promotions. Pretty unlikely we'll see that. Especially with how 2CP works now, it's not really as good of a pick anywhere.
Yeah, the attack main.
No, I don't think so.
Not going to be too great.
Not too good. Hoxel did it a few times. We saw it with Reaper on Anubis, but I think we'll see the swap.
Yep, there it is. Wait, no.
Okay, attack May, here we go.
Okay.
He might have to build some walls as an architect in this one. He might have to architect some picks.
My hands are off the steering wheel.
Okay, here we go. Let's find out how this works. Not a very easy task to try to get early picks with walls on this because there's so much space, and they're taking the high ground here with the Soldier comp.
For now, trying to get close range headshot there on the Birdwing. Just dashing around on the Tracer. There's the wall.
There's a wall.
Mitigate a bit of that
There you
damage
go.
coming across, and they'll actually get the pop out onto Void. So getting him out of the mech is going to be a nice little start here for the side of CONBOX. Can they build up for something like a Blizzard very quickly is going to be the question. Goes into the ice block, keeps himself alive. That's that point in
Asher
contention
lives
for the
still.
moment.
Asher does live.
They lose out on OGE. He's just now respawning and has to rejoin the team. So not going to be getting anything as far as percentage is concerned so far.
I think the struggle is that he hasn't been able to get much done with his right clicks, and if maybe he could add some extra damage to kill Asher on the high ground at range, then maybe they could win the longer fight. He's going to try to perhaps sneak in here, do some ice wall action. There we go.
Throws
Trap
him down.
everybody.
He's just blocking off their
DPS.
yeah, their
essentially. And
line
look,
of sight.
They get
They
picks.
jumped on.
They get picks regardless.
Yeah, they do. Leap coming through from Fisher. He's got the Primal Rage pop. He's got Obarochi cornered. And he's just going to go ahead and scoop up those kills.
Look, Twilight may have made Sombra defense possible, may have made it viable, may have done some really cool things with this team to pioneer how Sombra was used on attack, but I'm not sure if this is going to be the new May attack meta the Architect's trying to make. Twilight's not on the team anymore. Architect is just trying to force these walls to gain value. It's just simply not been successful. Minus the one pick on Void earlier, that was impressive. He is going to have Blizzard soon, but it doesn't matter because CONBOX is facing a high ground composition. Where will he place the Blizzard? What will he gain from it?
He's got it ready to go, but he's got to be careful of that defense matrix.
Okay, it's down
Dropped
now.
by Void. Has it ready to go. Makes it into the ice block with 11 HP remaining, but does he just toss the ultimate immediately? It's going to be the question. Asher here with that tag visor.
dead.
Tries to get something done, but just has to kite back. Now Transcendent's going to be invested by both of these Zenyatta's.
I mean,
It's still just looking good for Kongju Panthera on the whole.
the only target he could have hit with the Blizzard would have been Fisher on the point. Everyone else is up on the high ground.
Pushing forward, Sleepy Bear getting closer to that self-destruct.
Attack
Now
visor.
has it ready to go. We'll see a Rascal here with the attack visor. As you say, sound barrier there to keep him alive. And now OGE pushing forward with the Primal Rage, but he's got the Discord Orb. He goes low, has to get out of there as safely as possible. Waka Waka, they'll get picked off. But that's about the only reprieve that CONBOX has at the moment. And they are staring down the barrel of a full hold on point A right now that Kongju has aimed at their head.
So surprised they never switched off the May, and I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to do besides get picks with the ice wall or try to block the DPS, which didn't really work for them.
Yeah.
And Blizzard doesn't gain any value because they're not facing a dive comp. It would work well against their defensive comp they used on Numbani with the Genji. It would work very well against that, but it does not work well against the Soldier comp at range. And now Panthera has all the ults in the game basically to defend as well, and all they've got is a Blizzard that I don't know what it is supposed to do.
Yeah, and it could still just get deleted by that defense matrix.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
He keeps trying to go for these really cheeky and somewhat creative wall setups, but they're about as effective as trumps. So it's just not going anywhere for CONBOX.
And they are definitely going to pay for it, man. If they
Yeah, CONBOX is the one that's paying for this.
They are certainly going to pay for that.
Oh, Pulse Bomb coming through. Doesn't find the stick. And not going to be getting any kills either.
I mean, this is just a disaster. I'm not even sure what their next plan is going to be. They have to Hail Mary this one. They have no ultimates. Their support ultimates aren't even ready yet. Asher gets an opening pick, so maybe this is going to be the one they have to make it work with. In the longer fight, they will get both support ultimates.
I mean, they're nearly there, so they can delay and get this Transcendence come back through.
Oh,
they
no.
nearly get the pick on the Bedosin. Oh, but Architect, what are you doing? He gets popped right off the map, drops into the ice block, but it's not going to keep him alive. He will go down. They get a pick one.
Void
Picking it on a Rascal on another double kill here. The second time today for Void, getting rid of OVERWATCH and Asher. It seems like that is just going to be the full hold coming through. Not even a single tick gain for CONBOX. They went all in on this Mei. Didn't change it. Didn't use the Blizzard at any given point. And that is just going to be the hold coming through. Kongju Panthera perfectly set up to close this out with a 3-0.
I don't want to be too critical, but I wanted to say the whole crux of their entire push, the only ultimate they had, the only tool they had was the Blizzard. They were looking for those picks on the high ground that they were going to be able to toss the Blizzard in for those delays, but if your entire crux of your push, your entire crux of your composition is this Blizzard, is this Mei, who's not able to hit right clicks consistently, is also unable to fire the Blizzard, and even if she did, everyone was on the high ground anyways, that I think the game plan was wrong. I would have rather seen Architect switch back to what he's good at, the Genji or the Doomfist, but I mean, this was just I think we're going to watch this again.
Yeah, we're just going to watch Architect die. Goodbye.
See you later, Waka Waka gets that pick, man. That's going to be in the highlight reel.
And then just there goes the ultimate that you had. Like, pretty much the only one for zone control.
I mean, they can try to get a full hold themselves, and they certainly could pull it off, and they're a very strong dive defense team, but this isn't even the map that's best for that type of defense. It looks like Panthera is going to do exactly what they did last time, the surprise pharmacy comp, and if they just outrange and kill Asher, I mean, that could just be it, you know? I mean,
something I just thought of, like, I didn't even think about the cooldown on it. I didn't see if he didn't have it available, but he could have walled to catch himself.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. I mean,
this Mei was just sloppy
in a way, like I'll give him credit for that one because that's like something that's really hard to think of on the fly. But if he was a Mei who was more experienced on the Mei, like if he was a Haksal or a Flower Mei who's played the hero extensively in competitive play, maybe he would have definitely realized that. But obviously, again, Architect just doesn't have the experience that these other Mei players have on the hero. He's going to be playing the Doomfist now. But it is a good point you raise.
He needs some really big openings here with this Doomfist. They at least have Asher on the Soldier to try to take care of Rascal up in the sky.
Yep, they have the right counter already to this, as long as he can hit his shots. Murdering is looking for picks back here. If they can actually kill Asher, then everything falls apart.
He's got a great angle here onto the supports. Goes ahead, has to be forced out on the recall. And actually, Rascal goes down as Revenge finds the kill, but he'll be answered for very swiftly as Void comes up with one of his own. Murdering dashing around, makes it over to the health pack, and will just help take down OG in the end. 3 members dead on the side of CONBOX. Rocket Punch comes through, will pop Void out of the mech. And somehow Kongju Panthera are not on the point hitting this ticked up yet. They need 33% and just nobody's been there.
Well, looking for the pick on the Asher again. If it goes down, everything falls apart. They do get the Void mech destroyed, so probably not going to be the cap this time. A lot of time to burn through here still on the side of CONBOX, and Asher's hiding currently, so Rascal will have free reign of the skies for the moment. Okay, does stick his head out again here for a second. Murdering isn't near him. As you can just see, as long as he's protected, or as long as he's not being fired upon, he will be able to push the pharmacy back.
Asher, point blank shot in onto Fisher, but that's going to be that Primal Rage getting popped, and Architect, he's just going to be falling off the map, gets taken out. Now Asher popping that tag visor, tries to get rid of the pharmacy comp, but gets jumped on immediately and actually kills himself in the end through the Helix Rockets. As he goes down, Rascal can just drop straight in onto the ground. Sleepy Bears popped out of the mech, and that is going to be GG. Kongju Panthera going to be starting things off the round of 8 with a 3-0 victory over CONBOX.
3-0, very clean map of Volskaya, and you know, creativity has always been a staple of CONBOX. It's always been something they've been known for. Tonight they were very creative, we could say, for the Mei. They picked this map for a reason. That was clearly what they wanted to try, but it just simply fell flat. It did not work. I don't think anything has ever been experimented and failed as hard in Apex history as that did. Nothing was gained, no Blizzard was tossed. It was a stomp, and to be honest, this feels like Panthera came better prepared for the Junkrat meta. They came better prepared for how they wanted to use their ultimates in fights, and CONBOX was a little bit scattered. They're not out of the group by any means. They still have the opportunity to play the losers match, which I believe will be in about 2 weeks' time. So they will have that. to contend with, but now they're on their last life in Apex here in the round of 8, and not to say that they didn't prepare as well, because they clearly did prepare strategies. They did prepare the Mei attack, for example, but it was just very unsuccessful. Things did not go as well as they did in scrims.
Yeah.
And we're already starting to see Junkrat's hit rate at least soar a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you have to know when to just back off of a certain pick. The Junkrat being extensively used by Kongdu Panthera, costing them a lot of time off the time bank when it comes down to defense, losing that round on Lighthouse. You have to know when to swap off, and it's the same thing for the Mei here. It does feel bad when you swap away from a hero that, has an ultimate built up or is very close to having the ultimate completed, but when it's just not working over and over again, you just kind of have to throw in the towel on that and try something different.
Yeah, you certainly do, and being hell-bent on this Mei push was just never going to be successful. In the old meta where it was all dive all the time, or we were in the Reaper Mei meta, or we were in the Zarya meta, things like that, where we used to see Haksal on the Mei on the attack, we used to see Nanohana on the Mei on the attack. When we were in that meta, it made a lot more sense, but when you've got high ground advanced techniques, 2017 Volskaya defenses don't look the same as 2016 ones, and it just simply fell flat at the end. And you know what? It clearly was working for them in scrims. They clearly had a reason to do it, and we can't be too critical of it, but as said before, the success was not there. And as Architect said in the interview, shake hands with their opponents. They do here. This is their toughest opponent in the group, and even though what they said in the interview, what Architect said in the interview was, we want to win this so the rest of the group becomes easy. It will get easier from here, but the stakes are going to be higher as they drop down to the elimination match.
Yeah, still going to be a rough road ahead for these guys, but maybe they can stay afloat, win that losers match, and go to the final best of 5 to try to qualify forward into the playoffs. We'll see what happens. I think you said about 2 weeks from now we'll be seeing those losers matches, so still have plenty more to go through before we will be eliminating anybody. But for now, Kongdu Panthera can be happy. They walked away with a victory after all that trash talk that Fisher was throwing around. They live up to it. And they keep the fans happy.
Wish Void would wipe that frown away, man. He had 2 very clutch self-destruct doubles that won objectives for them twice. Got several other single self-destructs that were good zoning self-destructs.
He didn't want 2 doubles. He wanted 1 quad.
I guess that's what he wanted.
So.
He didn't get it. He's disappointed in his own performance.